Good morning, President and the Congress. We rise to adopt because we don't think there's a problem with what has been raised. It is important indeed that we strengthen the communication and also to make sure that we retain employment in that department. And we have realized that half the time our comrades have been screaming, kicking without any help. We're hoping that this will bring success.
Thank you, NUM. Lemusa.
Then you are covered.
Covered. Sakau.
Sorry, Comrade Chair. Good morning. We wanted to speak on the maternity protection resolution, and it's my understanding we're not there yet. Are we on the maternity protection resolution by NUM?
You are speaking on the maternity protection?
Yes, that was, unless it's still coming to be addressed.
Must we not finish off this first?
No, that's fine. I'm just checking, Comrade Chair.
Okay. Samu.
Surely, President, akubonakali ngapha, but fine again. Samu, we second Communication Workers Union, but we want to include that the casualization of comrade in the post office should be dealt with not in isolation in terms of our previous resolution on addressing or responding to casualization, rather than to tackle that matter in isolation. Secondly, on the issue of funding post-bank, we therefore second, but putting a rider that within 4 weeks, the Federation must engage with the ANC with regards to the implementation of its Congress resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Communication, are you amenable to that? Okay. Thank you. Therefore, the resolution is adopted. Now we are on maternity protection by NUM. NUM, take the floor.
Thank you, President. President, we would like the Congress to note that we are aware that this is a provision for LRA, and we are very much aware that most of the industries have gone beyond 4 months. But the reason for this is basically because we're dealing with the employees or the members, workers who are working in the industry that does not respect the law. And in majority would be your construction and the mining and some of industries in the shops.
Sorry, NUM. Whoever is operating these monitors must ensure that the speakers are on the screen, please.
No.
We want you on the screen, sorry. Monitors are dysfunctional at this moment. Can you please attend to that? Kodwa NUM ungaqhuba uthetha wena.
Ngiyalibona, Ntate.
Yeah.
So we rise to request the Congress to strengthen this resolution that mostly is about compliance, President. We know that some of mine workers, especially in a small-scale mining, your ShopRite and some of the precarious work in the industries, people are not given an opportunity to enjoy what has been given by the Labor Relations Act. Not much that we were not aware of that. So the resolution is tabled as such.
Sakau has indicated to wanting to speak here. I'm giving you the floor now, Sakau.
Thank you, Comrade Chair, for giving us the floor. We're just rising to second and firstly to strengthen the resolution submitted by NUM, and hopefully the proposal that we will be making will be supported by NUM. We believe this section, the resolving part or the entire resolution, is better placed in the proposed maternity and parental rights policy document, page 135 in Book 5. It would be better placed there. And we also want, on the same note, we also want to propose the adoption of that policy. And we are sure that NUM will support us in that. But we just want to make a note of the challenge that NUM is raising. This surely is a compliance and enforcement issue. And we should ensure as unions that the Department of Labor and also the Unemployment Insurance Fund do inspections at companies where these rights, these legal provisions are being violated. And it is in all the sectors. And we also want Congress to note that as Cosatu and affiliates, we should have a campaign on women, especially the young women who are now coming into the workplace, know their rights. They must know that they have 4 months maternity leave. If they know their rights, they would be able to assert their rights. So we need to, as a fighting organization, we need to ensure that we educate, raise consciousness amongst the young women workers. Thank you, Comrade Chair.
Sasbo.
President, thank you very much. We rise to support the proposal by NUM. In that proposal, President will also want to bring to the attention of the Congress page 135 on Book 5, that will be happy if it can be part of the adopted resolution in addition of the resolve of NUM. And then further, President will also like to make an addition that on that resolve part, that we believe as SASBO that Cosatu should be tasked to start putting the wheel in motion, that this proposal or resolve part be also discussed at NEDLEC, where we believe that everybody is present. And therefore, President, we believe that it is a good resolution. And we are aware that in other countries, such a resolution that is been suggested by NUM, we know that in other countries, people are talking of a 12 months maternity leave as well as paternity. And we are also like to emphasize the last point on the resolve of the NUM, where they are talking about 10 days at least of paternity leave. Because we believe that when a child is born, the child can not only be raised by umama eyedwa, but also us as fathers, as abobaba, we also have to play a part in bonding with our children. So Salzburg will like to support this resolution. Thank you very much. Before I go, sorry, my dear President. In fact, I've been also being instructed that maybe we look at a ratification of the convention on the maternity leave as in South Africa as far as ILO convention is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sipau.
Thanks, Comrade President. President, Sipau rises to support the resolution as raised by NAMU as a good resolution. And of course, we do support what, or rather persuade NAM to accede to what Sakau has raised, in that the resolution be looked at in conjunction with the position paper adopted by Cosatu. Our understanding is that we need to advance and further the gains of the working class. And the position paper is actually advancing that notion. Of course, taking note that NAM did indicate that there are sectors and areas where even the list has not been honored or acceded to. Maybe what we also rise to add on the resolve part is the tendency of companies to separate women or to discriminate them, especially those that are working in difficult working areas like they've indicated, construction, mining, etc. Because some companies are saying they've got actually two policies. One for the salaried personnel, the personnel that are in the higher categories, and workers in the lower categories. And we are saying that should stop. Women are women, and giving birth does not know whether you are in office or you are underground. Actually, what should happen is those who are in adverse conditions like underground and construction should be better catered for than those in offices, if that thinking would actually fly. Unfortunately, women are women, and child birthing is the same to all. Thank you, Comrade President.
Thank you, Chemical. NUM, we are going back to you. We want you to address that suggestion by Sakau. Can you speak to that?
Thank you, President. President, under no circumstances would we not appreciate that input. We believe that is quite a brilliant input, and we thank the Congress for accepting this resolution.
Thank you. Thank you. The resolution is now adopted by Congress. Can you clap hands for that? Thank you very much. Fau, we are on you now. You had a special resolution to make. We are giving you the floor to motivate that special resolution you want to table to Congress.
Yeah, thank you, Comrade President. We had wanted to present this resolution to the Congress. We actually have submitted a preliminary copy to the table. And without any further ado, we want to read the resolve part. We also are aware that the National Union of Mine Workers had a similar, or rather a resolution speaking to similar issues. We will urge the table to allow the NUM, after we are done, to come into the equation. President, the resolve part of this resolution is expressed as follows. Government should immediately put all measures necessary to ensure that its interventions, such as allocated funds and resources intended for relief, are not stolen or misused for the purpose of businesses, but should go where it is intended to, which is to truly provide relief for businesses that are in distress. Secondly, that the agricultural sector, and particularly workers and their families, should equally and centrally be considered, and all efforts to be put towards ensuring their daily livelihoods are restored, and to mitigate the loss of income, the loss of shelter, and other consequences. Thirdly, we resolve to calling for convening of a multi-stakeholder forums from provinces to national on the issue of food security, agriculture, land and rural development, and the transformation of the sector, and on building a truly transformed agricultural sector. Fourthly, that the post-crisis or disastrous interventions must be assessed to measure the impact and assist in future planning to ensure better management of similar situations. Fifthly, that we need government to explore alternative sources of water, be it underground drilling, be it rainfall harvesting, or possible importation of water, as it is the case with the Lesotho Highlands Water Project. Lastly, to have an aggressive and broad awareness around the use and the preservation of water as a scarce and critical resource, given that we are a water-distressed country. So that's what we thought we must sponsor to the Congress, Comrade President. And like I said, the National Union of Mine Workers had approached us because they thought they can integrate some of the useful resolve part from their resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fau. NUM, can you come in at this point?
Thank you very much, Comrade President from NUM. We agree with the progressive amendment that has been made by FAO on this resolution. We have an additional issue which has been put inside. I don't know whether it is appearing due to the fact that El Nino and drought that is seems to be affecting crop and water resource is going to take time. Nobody knows. We have said that water should be actually exported from Congo River, coming from Republic of Congo, Zambia, Botswana, to come to South Africa, because we believe that the water resource in Lesotho is now needed by other countries in SADC. So in future, it may become a problem. So we agree that the resolution is fine, the amendment is fine.
Thank you, NUM. Sakau, come in.
We thank you, Comrade Press. We equally believe as Sakau that the proposed resolution is in order and is in fact an absolute necessity given the circumstances that we find ourselves in as a nation. We believe, comrades, and we hope FAO and the supporters would be able to consider this amendment that we believe is very substantive to give meaning to what is intended. On the Resolve 2, as opposed to saying that workers and their families should be equally and centrally be considered, we believe that considering Comrade Press is always open to abuse. It does not necessarily translate into giving a benefit of any sort or assistance or support. Therefore, we request that we change that be considered to become located. They should be equally and centrally located in all efforts so that they become almost automatic beneficiaries of any support and relief mechanism that is intended to address the situation that they are faced with. In terms of Resolve 5, we believe that it is necessary that we look at importing and getting all the interventions that we can get from all over where it is possible. But I think we should also add a rider that says importation should be without undermining any local initiatives and necessary and possible procurements should there be any possibility in that regard, so that we don't just look at importation as the primary and priority, as opposed to looking at what we can be able to provide locally first, and if all else fails, we then look at to the importation as an intervention mechanism. We believe the two unions that have moved would be comfortable with our addition, and on that we would be seconding.
Thank you. FAO, are you amenable to the amendments made? I'm giving you the floor, the platform now.
Yeah, we are actually both. It should be both NUM and FAO being asked that question. From the FAO side, we are amenable. Okay. But I wanted to believe that it is centrally the NUM that has a last bite on whether it's amenable or not on the resolution. Thank you.
NUM, I'm coming to you now. Are you okay with the amendments?
Thank you, President. We are okay with the amendment, but there are shortcomings in terms of the inputs we made to the resolution. We exchanged notes with FAO. Unfortunately, they are not incorporated to the resolution. We are proposing that, one, we agree with the crux of the resolution. However, we still believe that the notes we exchange with them must still be incorporated. But overall, we agree with the resolution. Thank you.
Okay. I take it that the resolution is now agreed by Congress. Is that the case? Yes, that's the case. Thank you. Comrades, at this point, we are inviting to the podium ITUC. Formal introductions are going to be made by the President when the ITU speaker is on stage here. Okay. I'm told to introduce him because I know him well. We are inviting to the stage the Deputy General Secretary of ITUC, ITUC International or ITUC Brussels, the former General Secretary of ZCTU, Zimbabwe, Comrade Wellington Chibebe. Okay. Chief. Thank you. Vuma wa Chambera. Vuma wa Munyana. A song, comrades, please. They are taking you back to Chimure. Comrades, Wellington Chibebe is no longer involved in Chimurenga in Zimbabwe. Okay.
Thank you, comrades. Viva Cosatu, viva! Viva Cosatu, viva! Amandla! Nyabo. Comrade President, and your leadership from Cosatu, ANC leadership, if they are here, SACP leadership, if they are present, international guests, dear delegates, comrades and friends. Your Congress theme, unity and cohesion of Cosatu to advance the national democratic revolution, resonates with the times. For us in the ITUC family, it was, however, contrasted by our fellow WFTU General Secretary's position when they deliberately and willfully chose to denigrate fellow workers of the ITUC. It is not ITUC policy to hit back. And for me, as an African from across the Limpopo, and out of respect for this workers' parliament, I find it culturally difficult to engage in name-calling and mudslinging at an event where I am a guest. Suffice to say that what was said by my brother is very unfortunate, miles away from the truth, and in my view, against the theme of this Congress. I, however, take comfort in the old African adage which states that ashes blow in the face of the one who throws them. Thank you, President. Comrades, we live in vulnerable times. We want unity, unity, and unity. With increased terrorism, including state terrorism, and the resulting loss of life, with millions of refugees fleeing from fear of conflict or economic desperation and the risk of further economic crisis, we see governments use this context to contain democratic state rights and freedoms and build walls against people when the solutions lie in inclusion. In Africa, as I speak to you, comrades, today, ITUC Africa is holding its Congress in Dakar, Senegal. Among the topical issues to be debated is the general state of the African people and workers in particular. The ITUC Africa Congress and your Congress, comrades, come at a time of the buzzword and slogan, Africa is rising. The questions one may beg to ask are, from where, going where, and for whose benefit? With 60 to 80% of Africa's supposedly able-bodied persons in informal economy, with raw materials being spirited out of Africa at a song, and finished products imported at a premium, with some of our leaders banked outside of Africa and not in Africa, with 52 billion per year finding its way out of the continent through illicit financial transactions versus less than 40 billion coming as aid, with conflicts in a number of countries, with shrinking space for human and trade union rights, should we therefore be talking of Africa rising or possible uprisings in Africa? In Africa and across the globe, the answers are timeless for trade unions. It is time to deepen democracy, not to deny rights and freedoms. It is vital to create jobs and restore the dignity of work, to include women and young people, and to introduce and reduce inequality with social protection, minimum wages on which people can live with dignity, and robust collective bargaining to share the wealth of production. People are hungry for a different world, for democracy in which they can trust, for development and social justice. They are hungry for socialism that reminds us that the only solutions for peace are those that demonstrate that we care about each other and are prepared to share wealth and the land. We demand a future that is free from corruption, free from the past and free from oppression. A future where democracy, human and trade union rights, and equality matter. Our unions, your brothers and sisters, our struggling friends who are struggling for justice are littered in many parts of the world. At our General Council last month, comrades, we looked first to the victories. Among them, a democratic constitution in Nepal, the registration of the once upon a time exiled union in Myanmar, the possibility of peace in Colombia, the magnificent recognition of the UGTT Tunisia and Brother Abbasi for the constitutional outcomes in Tunisia after the revolution, and the subsequent Nobel Peace Prize to the UGTT and the other negotiating comrades. And the implosion in FIFA, where the ITUC has campaigned against the corruption and the awarding of the World Cup to a slave state, Qatar. We have, however, a long way to go to eliminate slavery in too many other parts of the world. And we thank you for your support. Indeed, in Mauritania, after ITUC mission, we have seen government response to union demand to stop the recruitment of companies and sending of women into forced labor in Saudi Arabia. But there is much more to be done there, as well as the unions to be freed, and unions should be in the lead. These are the good news. There are, however, bad news, comrades. It is sad to note that the ITUC Global Rights Index for 2015 does not carry the same optimism when 58% of the countries exclude workers from labor laws. 70% of the countries have workers who have no rights to strike. 60% of the countries deny workers collective bargaining. 52% of countries deny workers access to rule of law. And arbitrary arrests have increased, with 44 countries in 2015 now guilty of denying natural justice to workers. This is coupled with the devastation and chaos in Central Africa. Bombs that are being dropped and that were dropped to our sisters demonstrating for peace in Turkey. Our despair for people in Palestine. The proxy wars in Arab states. The devastation of Paris, Beirut, Nigeria, Kenya, and now in Mali. There is also chaos in Central Africa Republic. In Swaziland, where the king is the supreme authority and people are denied rights. In Zimbabwe, where human and trade union rights are a scarce commodity. This is terrible for the union movement. With so many other sites of conflicts, dear friends, governments around the world ignore if it is not in their foreign policy priorities. It is union men and women, as human rights defenders, who should take these issues up. And when we see the failure of governments to deal with the refugee crisis, we have got every reason to worry. Amidst the biggest refugee crisis since World War II, we see extraordinary scenes of police and military brutality, forcing people back or even the building of walls to block people, fellow human beings, from fleeing for safety. The leadership of Germany and Sweden and the generality of Turkish people with 2 million refugees is inspirational. The same is in Amman and Lebanon. But the fear and hatred that blinds others is a tragic barrier to human rights, and we must overcome it if human life is to be valued. This is, however, not new to you, comrades. What with displaced workers and their families in your country. Yet some of the richest nations in the world deny reality. The reality is 60 million displaced people across the globe are languishing in abject poverty. And only 20% of these are knocking the doors of the developed world. The rest are in the global south. Comrades, allow me to greet the ANC Secretary General, Comrade Gwede Mantashe. Thank you. In this context, our front line represents our fight back. And our front lines are the following: climate justice, eliminating slavery, and taming corporate power. Dear comrades, it is time to save the planet. There are no jobs on a dead planet, and we know this is much more than a slogan, as our people face changing seasons and the devastation of extreme weather events that cause loss of lives and livelihoods. As ITUC, we will be at the forefront of necessary industrial transformation, and we demand a just transition for everyone. We still have a fight to secure commitment of just transition in the Paris Agreement in December. Indeed, we thank good Brazil leadership for lobbying for us against Brazilian bureaucracy. And it was fabulous to hear President Dilma of Brazil in her speech to the UN last month supporting just transition. We say thank you, President Dilma. Comrade President, global capital is out of control. We will build a global fight to tame corporate power, to end corporate greed. And let me now turn to the global workforce. We just celebrated the World Day for Decent Work. We saw unions standing against attacks on rights, even in UK and Finland, one of the Nordic countries which has shocked us all, where rights are already abused or non-existent. We say no to rights violations. We saw demonstrations against poverty wages, against precarious and unsafe work. It all comes back to corporate greed. Our target is corporate greed. It has cowed our governments, and sorry to say this, and orchestrated those attacks on rights, short-term contracts, those insidious zero-hours contracts, informal and unsafe work with low wages, and for 76% of our brothers and sisters with no little or no social protection at all. The world has reached a tipping point. 80% of global trade include illicit financial transaction flows. 60% of the production base of global trade is now driven by big business, which, without apology, uses business models based on exploitation, abuse of human rights, and supply chains. Workers' rights at home or abroad mean little or nothing to the heads of major corporations. When a textile worker, Rita, from Palestine tells me she cannot tell her 12-year-old son as to when she will be home to cook him a meal or say good night because she is forced to work extra shifts without notice, this is not decent work. Or when men work for Citramina, gathering seafood for many of our tables, are enslaved on boats in Indonesia, without living quarters and sanitation for months on end, there is no hope for them of decent work without us. Or when our comrades in Swaziland are denied the right to exist, our fight is not over until it's over. Or when our brothers in Zimbabwe go for months without salaries, there is no hope for decent lives. We have a fight on our hands, comrades. Comrades, this business model is not an accident. It's driven by corporate greed. The facts are there that the world GDP has tripled since 1980. Yet inequality is at historic levels. Our number one enemy, Mr. President, Comrade President, ladies and friends, is American Chamber of Commerce. It's their model. They are everywhere. In many, many countries, they don't sit at a negotiating table. They are virulently anti-union. They even advertise they are anti-union on their website. And they threaten governments with capital flight if they increase rights and benefits for working people. Working people and their families have said they haven't had enough, and they are prepared to fight. And in terms of the ITUC global poll, it shows us that 94% of the people want the guarantee of labor rights and foundation for global trade. 94% of the people want stronger rules to hold corporate power accountable for better wages and conditions. 88% of the people want minimum wage lifted around the world. We therefore have to organize, and nothing but organize. We therefore demand the following. We demand that government puts legislation in place that mandates due diligence in supply chains so that we can prosecute largest companies in the world. Employers must pay minimum living wages and respect freedom of association and collective bargaining. We demand an end to the precarious short-term contracts and zero-hour contracts. We demand safety standards with workers engaged in safety committees and inspectorates with sanctioning powers to save lives. But we will only win the fight to tame corporate power and end corporate greed if we organize and are united. By May 1 next year, we hope to see worldwide labor movement standing behind the banners and demand an end to corporate greed. Lastly, comrades, dear President, allow me to thank you on behalf of ITUC, not only for your fight for workers' rights in country, but to say that you have demonstrated beyond doubt that you are an organization in not just national issues, but beyond the globe. And therefore, you are a global organization. Your strength and commitment to freedom and democracy everywhere is legendary, and it's not by accident. We therefore desire and call for a strong Cosatu to fight in solidarity with the struggles of ITUC family for us to change the world. And change the world we will do if we are united. We may feel that we may not change the world, but if we are united, we believe that we will change the world. As the African saying goes, that if you think you are too small to make a difference, you have never spent a night with a mosquito. And therefore, we think we are big enough to change the world. I'm fully convinced in my mind that change the world we will. I thank you, comrades. I thank you for your attention. Amanja! Amanja! Viva Cosatu, viva! Aluta!
Thank you very much, Comrade Wellington Shibebe. The treasurer of Cosatu, who is also your colleague because she's an auditor also there at the ITUC International, is going to present to you a gift from us.
Viva ANC, viva! I had been ruled out of order.
Thank you, Comrade Chair. Comrade Wellington of ITUC. This is a blanket manufacturing locally because we are having a resolution and promoting local procurement in South Africa. And so we're blessing you and showering you with this blanket that is made by these comrades as they are sitting here. And then we say thank you very much for your attendance.
Thank you. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Comrade Wellington. I have 2 phones here. The owners forgot those cell phones in the toilet downstairs. And I also have a man's wedding ring. So that gentleman must be very careful to lose a wedding ring when he's in Johannesburg. Because you will have much problems when you get back home. Please quickly come here and collect your wedding ring. This is a very important ring to you and to the future of your family. Yeah. I did not want to think this with me here. No. Okay, we are on operational now. Comrades, let's move on quickly. We are on organizational now. There's amendment sponsored by Sakau, and I would therefore give Sakau platform to motivate that amendment, constitutional amendment.
Thanks, Comrade President. Thanks, President. We had sponsored a similar resolution to the 11th National Congress in 2012. Congress could not deliberate on proposed constitutional amendments, and we have reintroduced it to this Congress. The key objective of the resolution, Comrade President, is to improve implementation of Cosatu resolutions. Because if we don't do that, we run the risk of losing credibility as a federation by taking decisions that we don't implement. We believe that we should not behave like philosophers who have hitherto only interpreted the world, as the point is to change the world. We also believe, Comrade President, that there should be collective leadership over implementation of programs of the Federation, as well as the administration of the affairs of the Federation. This, in our view, will assist us in consolidating the unity and cohesion of the Federation. In terms of the background, we have traced this process from the 1997 Constitution of the Federation, which provided for the executive committee called EXCO. And our experiences within the Federation is that beyond CEC meetings, there is very little commitment amongst us as affiliates towards the implementation of programs of the Federation. And therefore,
Sorry, Sakau, there's too much noise here. We can't hear you. Comrade, please be quiet. Okay. Thank you, Sakau.
Thanks for protection, Comrade President. We're saying that there is very little commitment amongst ourselves as affiliates beyond CEC meeting towards implementation of programs of the Federation. And one example is that you always complain as office bearers about poorly attended substructures of the Federation. We do attend some of those substructures, and we have first-hand experience. In terms of the details, it's our submission that the scrapping of EXCO in 2003 was a mistake by the Federation. We need to reinstate EXCO. In terms of the specific proposals on the CEC, the immediate consequences of that reinstatement is that you will reduce the number of CEC meetings from 4 per annum to 2. That's point number F on page 54 of the proposed amendment. The second consequence of that is that NOBs will no longer have the power to convene special CEC meetings. Those powers will reside with EXCO and affiliates. The overall role of EXCO is outlined in 3.2 on page 55. The role of the EXCO is to assist the CEC to carry out its responsibilities, and it must. We want to emphasize numeral figure 1 there on 3.2. Consider reports from the Secretariat on the activities of each department and province and provide direction when necessary. It's our view as Sakau that we have paid little attention to building departments and provinces as a federation, and the reinstatement of EXCO with those responsibilities will assist us. On the composition, there it refers to the 1997 Constitution. In terms of the frequency of meetings, we believe that it should meet once every 2 months. All those other aspects, Comrade President, are administrative, like in terms of your quorum, speaking and voting rights, and powers and decisions. That's one aspect. But on point 4 there on page 56, we are bringing an amendment to deal with the composition of provincial congresses. We believe that the current clause 6.2.2.2 should read one additional representative for every additional 500 members instead of the current 250. We think that we have a lived experience of these challenges, comrades, and we appeal to Congress to endorse the proposed amendment. Thank you.
NUM, I see you. Pop Crew, I see you as well. Nihau. Take the floor, NUM, in the meantime. Teachers, we are on the list. Satao on the list.
Thank you, Comrade President.
Okay.
Comrade President, we should have approached our comrades before they tabled this resolution and plead with them.
No. Yazi xa ungavuwa ndim mine work nabanye abantu abakuva sondela apha emblove.
Enkosi Mongameli. Yeah, comrades, in fact, what we say is that we felt like we should have approached the comrades, our comrades, before they tabled this resolution and plead with them for the withdrawal of this resolution. We want to plead with Congress, comrades, that this resolution, in fact, should not be adopted. We have few reasons to say that. Firstly, Comrade President, this resolution from us as the mine workers, we see it as a resolution that seeks to disempower the CEC. It is the resolution that seeks to disempower the Secretariat and FinCom itself, as it is currently run. Secondly, Comrade President, this resolution seeks to detach the national office bearers from running the organization between the CEC. Thirdly, Comrade President, this resolution seeks to undermine the NOBs, as we have said, and also it overstretches the organization to the extent that even the expenditures of the organization will be overstretched by the formation of this committee. We are okay as the mine workers currently as to how the organization is run today. We wanted to plead, Comrade President, if we were given a chance under the report of the Treasurer, if it was presented already, rather to call for the strengthening of FinCom to make sure that the treasurers from affiliates are attending FinCom, to strengthen FinCom and make sure that it advises the CEC correctly. We believe, Comrade President, that as workers, this organization of the workers must take charge of their organization and be actively involved. The notion that people don't attend the meetings, I think it is what this Congress must discourage and rather call upon all the unions, the general secretaries, and whoever is supposed to be attending any meeting in the organization to make sure that as workers, we take active participation rather than running the organization or our organization in committees. We therefore, Comrade President, call upon Congress not to accept this resolution. Thank you.
Pop Crew.
Thank you, Mongameli. President, I want to start by saying the unity and cohesion of Cosatu is paramount. As POPRU, we rise to say we appreciate the draft resolution as presented by Sakau and applaud them for bailing the cat. It has been always our held view as POPRU that the constitution of Cosatu is somehow open-ended. And therefore, there is a need for some amendments to deal with the ever-changing environment. However, my President, we are of the view that there is a lot of work that needs to be done. As you will know, President, that in the recent past, we have been in and out of courts because of the open-endedness of this constitution of the Federation. Therefore, President, we are proposing a middle ground to say, let us defer this draft resolution to the CEC for further engagement, not only on this draft, but almost on the entire constitution of Cosatu, where we will engage thoroughly and see where we can be able to amend the constitution, as well as, if need be, sought legal minds to assist us in this regard. We believe that, President, that never and never again this mighty organization of Elijah Bahai should find itself challenging itself in the courts of this country. We are therefore humbly request that Isakau allow us that process to defer this matter back to the CEC, give it time frames if it need be, in order for us to correct the constitution without necessarily engaging on the content of the draft resolution itself, Chairperson. So we submit as POPRU.
Nehau.
Thank you very much, Comrade President. We think we are satisfied with the reasons given by National Union of Mine Workers on asking Sakau to or agree with the Congress not to pursue that kind of a resolution. Instead, what we think Congress should be saying is to further strengthen the subcommittees of the Central Executive Committee, in particular how they are coordinated in order to function better in terms of implementing the resolution of the Congress. If in the wisdom of the Central Executive Committee, there is a need for a substructure called the EXCO, the CEC can consider that without necessarily having to constitutionalize it or put it in the Constitution. If in the view of the CEC, EXCO will further strengthen the capacity of the Federation to function, it can do so, but not as a constitutional matter. We therefore don't think that the Congress that scrapped the EXCO provision in the Constitution was a wrong decision. That's the first thing. The second thing, Comrade President, we want to agree with Pokru with the rest of the constitutional amendment that are still to come, that in the Special National Congress, we did set up or take a decision to set up a Constitutional Review Commission. We think that that commission must be empowered by this Congress to finish its job in cleaning up all those constitutional amendments submitted by the affiliates, and the Central Executive Committee be given a mandate to finalize and then therefore amend that constitution. Thank you very much, President.
South African Democratic Teachers Union. Principal Tetaban. Fau, you want to be noted? Okay, you are on the list now. You did not raise your flag. Teachers, come on board.
Thanks, President. President, we acknowledge as SADC the complexities that Cosatu has gone through. And we acknowledge, President, in the same vein, all the political and ideological challenges that were to endure as this federation. But we strongly believe, President, that in order to address such challenges, you need patience and perseverance. We believe, President, that if we can follow the line that is proposed by the current organizational constitutional amendment, it has the following implications for the federation. One, it attempts to liquidate the federation and reduce the powers given to the NOPs and the CEC by this constitution of Cosatu. And we have a belief, President, that in order to respond to the challenges that were faced as the federation, you don't need a knee-jerk arrangement. You need to be sober in dealing with those matters. Because the danger, President, is to introduce many committees in addressing the dysfunctionality or non-functionality of the present committees of Cosatu, which we think, President, in analyzing the organization, the Congress is given more powers to deal with such challenges and problems that may have beset our operations as this federation. We therefore believe, President, that what has been raised by other affiliates in terms of taking Cosatu forward must be the route that this Congress must follow. And we still have believed, President, that the CEC and the NOPs are correctly placed in leading Cosatu in advancing its struggles as a federation of the workers. Some of the issues that are raised, President, will compromise the principle of worker control in terms of our federation, Cosatu. We want to submit as such, President, as SADC. Thank you.
Satau.
Thanks a lot, President. We are struggling to find reason or the rationale of the amendments vis-à-vis the current situation. But having said that, President, we think on this particular amendment proposed, the Congress should pronounce itself as suggested by NUM, Nehau and Satu, that this amendment must not see the light of the day. It is not progressive. And I think when Satu says we really need to be sober, he's not suggesting that we're intoxicated. We are all sober. we agree. That's why we're saying on this one, the rest can then be taken to the CEC. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Acting General Secretary. We must mind, comrades, the choice of words. I'm a mine worker that understands English. We must mind the choice of words because it can plunge us. Okay. Ucela ndimtsibe, FAU come in, then Sipau after FAU.
No, thank you, President. We are rising, President, to talk to, one, the supreme rule of Cosatu, its constitution. Indeed, there have been a number of challenges around the application and, for that matter, interpretation of this constitution. We share the sentiments with Sakau that for quite some time there have been endless meetings between general secretaries and president and NOBs in between the CEC and during the course of the CEC. That demonstrates the need for a form of a structure that will harmonize the federation, particularly its structures between the CEC and the national office bearers. So we share that view because otherwise there would not have been so many meetings taking place between general secretaries, presidents, and the national office bearers in between and during CECs. We generally believe that there are inadequacies in the Constitution, rather clarities in the Constitution, such that we have explicit provisions in the Constitution that talks to a number of issues. We are warming up, President, to what Pope Crew was proposing, to a certain extent persuading probably both Sakau and, for that matter, Mine Workers Union to reconsider an approach of this nature. That the approach be that instead of adopting a full-blown, we change the Constitution or amend in this respect, instead of adopting an approach that says this Congress pronounce and reject the proposed amendment due to reasons advanced both sides, that we reconsider what Pope Crew was raising to the extent that it talks to possible reform of the Constitution. We are raising this, President, because we have an experience with regard to the Constitution. And it's unavoidable in some cases that the Constitution of Cosatu will be tested in a court of law. If you recall, the issue that gave rise to the court of law, Pope Crew, is the question around the Special National Congress. That's the issue that gave rise to an application to a court of law, and the court of law had to come in. So to that extent, you would appreciate that indeed there is an element of inadequacy, and you would appreciate that would warrant a need for, in our view, a reform. So we want to, insofar as it is submitted by Pope that a particular reform need to take place in the Constitution, that be the case. However, we disagree, Pope Satau, that the CEC be empowered to finalize that. The current Constitution as it is cannot be amended by a CEC. It must be amended by the National Congress. And we want to persuade both Satau and Pope that they therefore then understand that the work that will be done by that commission or the CEC would be presented at the next National Congress. And it will be that National Congress that will then adopt the Constitution, having addressed all areas that we believe are inadequate in the Constitution. But also, President, whilst we are talking to this particular subject, this constitution was never amended. There are certain things that have happened since it was amended to date that suggest and probably should not be the case, that suggest that the constitution should be interpreted or applied in a particular way. The question of voting, the question of credentials, and so on and so forth. Nonetheless, the point that we are raising is that we persuade all the affiliates that have talked on this issue to reconsider reformulation of this particular constitution, addressing areas of concern, but presenting that at the next National Congress, not at the CEC. CEC actually have got too much power. As a matter of fact, from far, we believe CEC have got too much power. 50 people in that CEC have got too much power. Read the powers of the CEC. And at some point, there was a confusion in this Congress, whether the Congress is supreme to the CEC or the CEC supreme to the Congress. It's because of that power that the CEC has. We need to ensure that we are able to put a structure in place. Saka, we agree with you, to put a structure in place that will harmonize that particular aspect, that will ensure operational part of the constitution of the union of the federation takes place, but also that will ensure that decisions that are taken at the CEC have undergone a thorough-going process, not just knee-jerk resolutions and decisions that we are taking at the CEC. Some of them are going to be challenging in this Congress. Thank you.
Thank you. Sipau.
Thank you, Comrade President and the Congress. President, ours is to actually firstly applaud the Sakau comrades who have this concern, which is actually genuine, but then in the same spirit, we also appreciate the good work that they've put into this resolution. In the same spirit, we are saying, looking at what goes into this resolution, we are also aware that our constitution is tried and tested on a daily basis in courts. Now, an amendment at the current juncture should be approached carefully than haphazardly. Hence, we believe as a power that a back-to-basic approach or position of Cosatu will go far in addressing some of the concerns that have been raised. And also taking into account that Congress is given a mandate and is giving a mandate to both the NOBs as well as CEC to run the organization within Congresses. And that mandate is actually having a commitment element in it. The commitment element in it will have then to be shown by our NOBs as well as the CEC delegates. We also saying, President, we should be careful of giving a mandate, a fresh mandate, that is also connected to a vote of no confidence to our NOBs as well as the CEC. We also should acknowledge the fact that the NOBs and the CEC are empowered by this very constitution. And those powers, we are saying, they should apply and implement them to the satisfaction, or rather the accomplishment of the resolutions that would emerge out of this Congress. In our final stance, President, we are saying a referral or a deferral of this resolution to CEC is actually the route to go. Of course, noting that CEC will not amend the Constitution, but then they will make sure that the resolutions adopted and taken in this Congress are actually implemented and implemented to the full. If not so, they will then at some point stand to account to this very Congress. Thank you, Comrade President.
Thank you. Acting General Secretary. Yeah.
Thank you, Comrade. I suggest, Comrade, that, or the table suggests that maybe we need to go back to Sakau, not take any further engagement on the debate, going back to Sakau to see whether Sakau is amenable to the suggestions that all the union have proposed, and the tone should be the tone that as proposed by the other comrade, that we are not rejecting this thing by deferring it back to the CEC. That the first CEC review the commission that was set up when we're dealing with the appeal. We set a commission that deals with the Constitution. So in the first CEC, we revamp and confirm that commission. We look in terms of its composition. We work it out, the time frame, the working plan in terms of dealing with those issues. Its report should be a report that can either even be presented in the Central Committee, not for adoption, comrade, so that everybody can be able to engage in terms of what is being proposed. And when it goes to the next Congress, it goes in the contents that it has been a recommendation that goes in there by the Commission, rather than being one resolution being presented in the CEC. So that's what we may appeal, comrade, that we need to go back, which may have the implication by its extension to the other amendment to the Constitution itself, because we may not be able to say one must stand and the others must be defer in terms of those particular issues. But it's also important, comrade, that what is being proposed, I think we need to make this point, comrade. What is being proposed is what was in the Cosatu. This EXCO was a Cosatu structure before, which were the reason why we have to move away from that structure and replace it by the CEC in the current form. So that all those debates, comrades, are engaged on, including the number of issues that that commission should look at, the size of our Congress, the size of our provinces, and many other interpretation, comrade, that were written in a language of comradeship that we never anticipated, that the interpretation of the Constitution can be so difficult to an extent that we have to go to court to try to interpret. So, comrade, I'm pleading with you that maybe let's go to Sakau and see whether Sakau is amenable to this decision, so that we know how we move forward.
Thank you. Sakau, let me give you the platform.
No, thanks, President. We are aware of the previous Congress resolution to undertake an organizational review process. And it was on those bases that we did not pursue the resolution at the 11th National Congress, because it was going to be debated in the context of an overall organizational review process, including the constitutional review process. We're happy with that route, Comrade President, but if that process does not take place, we might reintroduce it at the next Congress. We are concerned about the innuendos and insinuations from other comrades here. There is no intention to disempower the CEC and national office bearers. We can go into those details, but we should not make such statements, comrades, which cast aspersion on the integrity and the intentions of comrades in our own congresses. Thanks, President.
Thank you, Sakau. This decision is carried and it has implications to all constitutional review resolutions. Is that not the case? Therefore, NUM, I won't give you now based on this understanding. Or are you insisting? Or clothing and textile? Then I will come back to you, NUM. Yeah.
President, we want to address the last matter that you have made, or the point that you've made. Our understanding is a bit different. It is that the matter is confined to the Sakau resolution, that the SACTU resolutions will be considered by Congress. It's non-controversial, except for one or two period issues.
Okay. NUM?
President, so lebetse di sign fela re ne re lokile o ska gotlela go rona re dumelana le wena.
I see Nehau there. I will come back to you, Satu.
President, we believe that the summary by the acting GS covers all the proposed constitutional amendments. And we want to persuade textile to agree with the Congress on the summary of the acting GS in terms of how do we deal with all the constitutional amendments without separating some sections of the Constitution to try to amend them in this Congress. We believe that that summary covers everybody, President. Thank you very much. And we want to persuade textiles to agree with us on that one.
Thank you. Before that, Fau, I will come back to you, Saktu. Fau.
No, President. It's just that it's difficult to say we are covered by Nehau, but we are covered, President, because that's exactly what we wanted to say. It is, we are confessing, Nehau, we are covered.
Sipau, you are the last now. Sipau, I will.
Thanks, Comrade President. President, we unequivocally support both the summary by the acting GS as well as what Nehau has raised. Of course, they are all having constitutional implications. They therefore should follow suit to the resolution that has been taken on Sakau. Thank you.
Clothing and textile.
President, thank you very much. We're not in the game to delay Congress. If that is, if our understanding was incorrect, that the only issue was a time concern issue, then we'll accept what the majority is saying. We're not in the game of delaying. What we do want to point out, though, in accepting that suggestion is the following dilemma. That it must be very clear that in the manner in which the summary is now being couched, is that if the matter of the constitutional amendments is then referred to the CEC, that the consequence of that would be that the CEC would not have the power at all to amend the Constitution because it is within the constitutional competency of the National Congress only. So our difficulty that we have in accepting, which we do, is the following, that it would mean that we will come to the next Congress or to any special Congress that get convened in between with the same constitutional dilemmas on the matters which SACTU is raising in its constitutional proposals. And what we seek to do is to prevent that. So, Comrade Chair, Comrade President, and the delegates of the Congress, the way out, we think, is as follows, that you can't have a situation where you have constitutional paralysis when you even come to the next National Congress. That this Congress then therefore should mandate the CEC, which this Congress is empowered to do, to review the Constitution and then to effect and submit to the Registrar for certification such amendments as the CEC may agree. That is very critical. We don't want to come and approach the next National Congress with the same uncertainty and constitutional paralysis that we have
I
now.
see boards here from both Pope Crew and FAO. Pope Crew? Or I don't want to interpret what you want to speak, but I understand what you want to say, is that there is this general agreement now as to how do we approach the constitutional review resolutions, which is emerging. We don't want to select any specific resolution, but all of them subject to that process. Can you speak so that I hear what were you raising your board for? Is Pope Crew and FAO? And teachers after that?
Thank you, President. But why do I look like Kadisha? It can't be me, President. Really, it can't be me. Comrade President, on a serious note, I think textile is raising a fundamental point. And as Pope Crew want to add one issue on the proposal of textile, that it could be CEC or Central Committee that could be vested with such power of dealing with the process as suggested by textile. Thank you.
FAO?
Thank you, Comrade President. This is becoming difficult now. Because Comrade Clothing and Textile are saying they accept the summary by the Deputy General Secretary, and from there they want to amend that summary. That creates a problem. As a matter of constitutional imperative, there is no way that an amendment to the Constitution, even by a resolution of this Congress, can actually be dealt with at the CEC. It's not, it can't be correct. If we're saying we're going to embark on a constitutional review process, unfortunately we have to wait for 3 years. Or we have to convene a special National Congress to adopt, or rather discuss and adopt the new constitutional amendments. We can understand the sentiments as raised by Clothing and Textile Workers Union, which is the frustrations that as far we also have, as the speaker from FAO earlier on, the DGS of FAO said, that there are areas that are inaccurate, unclear, silent in the current constitution. So we either amend the constitution now or defer everything. And Clothing and Textile must assist us, Comrade President.
Okay, Sakau.
Comrade President, if our itishela ngale ncwadi, and we agree with them, even the Central Committee is prohibited by the Constitution from amending the Constitution. We can take comrades to a particular clause there, which deals with the role of the Central Committee. On page 24, clause 4, 1, 2, 16, it may deal with any other matter that may be deemed to be in the interest of the Federation other than amending the Constitution, full stop.
Injalo nyan, now. Sizafuna uyivala, and you want to come back again? Yo, okay.
No, President, we wanted to, understanding the reason of clothing and textile, but to appeal with them to accept the summary in its entirety. Because in the summary of the Acting General Secretary, he did make the point that the work of the commission that's going to review the Constitution will have to go to the Central Committee, not for adoption. So we think that it's part of the middle way, as SABC is proposing, that we don't come to the next Congress with paralysis. There will be clarity on what we are bringing to the next Congress for adoption. Although, Comrade President, we want to make the point that it will not have been the first time that Congress mandate a structural law to it to endorse the Constitution. We do have constitutions that was amended by the Central Executive Committee as mandated by the Congress before. So it's not like it has not happened as other Congress are raising, but we're just persuading Cloakton to accept the summary as it was, Comrade President. Thanks.
Comrades, I'm inclined not to give the next two affiliates to speak because there's a decision on this matter. There's a decision on this matter. Thank you. Let's step off it. The appeals. Discussions on the organizational report. Okay. Comrades, now we go to discussions on the organizational report or resolution 3.9. I'm reminded there's resolution 3.9 that we must still deal with. It is by clothing. Oh no, teachers. Yo, sorry. Oh yeah, 3 teachers. I can't speak for you. Speak for your resolution. Or clothing and textile. You want to be on the list? Or you want to speak now? You're insisting. Andrew is insisting.
Thank you, Praise. With respect.
Let me hear you.
President, with respect, we just want to bring on the matter to a proper conclusion. We accept the appeal from the House on the constitutional amendments.
Yes.
Secondly, Praise, our understanding is that there will be now a different way in which the meeting will proceed, and that the resolution discussion is now concluded, and that we'll proceed with the appeals.
Thanks, President. We want to move a resolution or a motion on the new vision and long-term plan for the Federation Cosatu. What is moving us as teachers is the fact that this year is 2015, the year where our vision or our 2015 plan is lapsing. And the expectation thereof was to use this platform to do an analysis and evaluation of how far we've gone as the Federation in implementing that and satisfying our 2015 plan. Coming here, President, we want to quickly move that it is imperative that this Congress capacitates the Central Executive Committee to establish a subcommittee that will look at the development of a long plan that will take the Federation forward, understanding that right now we've received inputs and messages that indicated that the offensive of capital, issues of extremism as well as fundamentalism are at their toll. So it becomes important that as the Federation, we do a sort of a self-criticism, for example, agreeing that we have not moved as we had wanted with issues of ensuring that we have one federation in this country, South Africa. We have also not moved as we would have expected and wanted with ensuring that we do away with issues of poaching, hence the challenges that we had in the past 2 years. Also, we have not managed to make our unions, which we had said they must come together and work as a unit. As such, President, we want to move that as the CEC were appealing to the Congress to capacitate the CEC to establish that subcommittee that will have to look closely at these pillars, ensuring that in responding to the offensive of capital and also the reality that is facing us, to say about 73% of workers remain unorganized, and even that 27% that is unionized does not belong to us in totality as the union. So some of the pillars is to develop and ensure that we have clear recruitment targets, we have the clear program of trade union education, and also education that will attend to labor capacitation of our leaders, our shop stewards, so that they are able to assist our members. We are also standing here, President, understanding that we are in a phase of radicalism, meaning that even the program, the plan that must be developed must show some phase of being radical. In attend, we must have a plan that is traceable, a plan that will be monitored, a plan that will be implementable, and there must be clear coordination on the side of the CEC so that we don't come to the next Congress without us or failing to account on how far we have gone in ensuring that we deliver in terms of the goals that we set for ourselves. So we submit, President. Thank you.
Clothing and textile. I see Cosatu.
President, thank you. And thank you to the comrades from Cosatu for motivating the resolution. But we have an organizational dilemma. We'd like to engage on the resolution, but that is not how we agreed we'll proceed with Congress now. We've had a meeting, including of Cosatu. In that meeting, it was agreed that as soon as the constitutional amendments debate is concluded, we'll proceed with the appeals. Okay. We are appealing to the table to deal with the matters as we've agreed so that we can have a constructive Congress and that comes to a constructive conclusion that carries the support of the broad number of affiliates that we've agreed and communicated to the table in due time. So please help us, Comrade Chair.
Okay. There is that understanding, comrades. Can you come there, Comrade Principal, to confirm that understanding? We also have that understanding that Cosatu is raising.
No, thanks, Chair. Without ado, we do.
We do too.
Yes. So in the interest of time, comrades, let's proceed how we agreed. We're going to manage the process now. Okay. Thanks.
I thought you were going to say that now we are on appeals. We are inviting the Acting General Secretary. Appeals. Oh, Fau.
No, sir, through you, President. We don't recall that understanding. we don't recall that understanding. The understanding we have is that we are dealing with the resolutions as contained in this document. You are correct, President, to allow SATU to continue to deal with the resolution they have sponsored. We need to be dealing with that particular resolution. Please, President, we don't have that understanding as far, and we don't believe the Congress have that particular understanding. Let's deal with the resolutions as proposed and as contained in this document. Thank you.
Now we are putting me on spot, Fau, because, okay, let me hear you, Satau, and Saktu Nihau. Limusa, you will be the last then.
Comrade President, Eyonando Sponda Bizas Ned is now to present a motion in this Congress that seeks to suggest that all the other matters that we have not been able to deal with, including those resolutions, be deferred into the CEC. Therefore, the CEC should engage on the issues of the appeal. Now is no more a caucus, okay? Is no more a caucus, is a position that we are trying to deal with.
Okay.
Now,
Comrade President, yesterday when we resumed the plenary, the meetings that took place of the General Secretary did propose that by 2 o'clock we must be closing Congress. And it did say that if by the time of 2 o'clock we are not done, all matters must now then be deferred. And it is that understanding that we have, therefore, that we wanted to second what Closing was saying, probably in a form of a motion as it's put by Satau. There are matters that can't be deferred, Comrade President, that Congress must express on, which include the issues of appeal as they've been put. So we want to confirm that understanding that that Clothing is putting, Comrade President. You must know that because today is the last day of the Congress, there are affiliates that are affected by flights. And therefore, this Congress has a danger of, by the time it concludes, it has got full delegates in the plenary, and that can't be correct, Comrade President. So we want to agree with both Satau and Saktu. Thank you.
Are we in agreement, comrade, with this approach? You are not? Okay. Fau, then President after you. Fau.
Mandla, viva Cosatu, viva. It's a wonderful day. No, President, thanks very much. Thanks very much. I think firstly, it's us this side who have to start by an apology created because we ought to have introduced this change to Congress formally and solicit your acceptance or your rejection to it. Having not done that, it has led to the situation that we have now seen. We apologize to Congress on that. It's really something we cannot run away from taking responsibility to it. And further, to say that we would want to appeal to Congress, and I say Congress, all the unions, that we listen to this amendment in full, because we are suggesting that having concluded on the issue of constitutional amendments in the way we have, we then should tackle the next area, and we leave the issue of the resolutions, we go to the appeals, and we refer those issues, those resolutions back to the CEC, because there is no time. There's no other reason precisely. We have no time. It's our last day. We tackle the issue of the appeals here, and we also then deal with the issue of the declaration.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm reminded, just to, please make notes, comrade leadership. It is the appeals, we deal with the finances, we tackle the election, the issue of the declaration, then the election of the results of the election of leadership, then close. And we aim and wish, and it's our request that we should be able to close at least round about 14:15 to 14:30. And I would want to again profusely apologize to FAO or any other union that may feel that this proposed change is putting them in a difficult situation or wasn't handled properly. We do apologize for on that and any other union, but we're appealing to Congress that indeed we follow this suggested line. We're not leaving any issues, but some we're deferring them to the CEC and ensuring that Congress key declarations and the constitutional key issues like the election of the leadership is not undermined, and we aim to finish in time because you must take transport home early. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Comrade President. Fau, can I go back to you to hear if you are happy with what is now being proposed?
Thank you, President. We don't have an understanding as far. Maybe let's start there. We don't have an understanding. The Congress in our agenda, we adopt the agenda. And then you have got your own program to manage time, for that matter, and the deliberation. The secretaries, the presidents, are delegates to this Congress. We respect their position they hold in their respective unions, but they are all delegates. It's this Congress that must decide which route it must take. And I appreciate, President, that you are addressing that issue, that it is this Congress that must agree on any proposed change, not a meeting of Secretary Generals, or for that matter, and the President. This is not correct. This is not how you run a Congress. Otherwise, you could have just dealt with the agenda and program as and when they wish that it should be done so. It is this Congress that must decide. President, we want to propose that we continue with the Congress work that we're busy with and we're still dealing with. The question of the resolutions that we're addressing our own organizational. Those are very important resolutions to this Congress. Actually, that is the exact issue that is going to assist this Cosatu to clean itself as an organization and to move forward as a united hegemonic organization. We can't do that with us having a view of deferring organizational issues that are so sensitive if you were to look into the content of the organizational report and, for that matter, the content of the proposed resolutions. At this, I take note, President, of the work that needs to be done with regard to the question of finances and appeals, but we are dealing with the organization called Cosatu, and we want to emphasize that we continue with the program, or rather the agenda of this meeting as adopted some 2 days ago and its programs. Thank you.
Okay, I have noted, okay. Is there, first of all, is there a union that is seconding what FAO is saying? Or Sakau?
Thank you, Comrade President. Mazia andizukubiza ngevoting cow namhlanje. Yagqitha lonto. Comrade President, we want to align ourselves with FAO.
Okay.
In particular, when we are going to deal with resolutions that are organizational resolutions. We haven't Comrades, President, in this Congress felt the theme of this Congress that talks about unity and cohesion of Cosatu to advance the national democratic revolution. The only situation that will make us to see and feel this theme of this Congress is when we deal with organizational resolution and we agree in this Congress on those resolutions. Thank you, Comrade President.
I have these unions on my list. It's SATAU, Democratic Teachers, Clothing and Textile, and NUM. But I thought there was an understanding. Now you are putting us back to square one.
President, Mongamel, let's first correct one thing. This is not a position of the President and the General Secretary. SATAU presented a motion in this Congress.
Yes.
And that motion has been seconded.
Yes.
The debate should not suggest that is now a discussion of a meeting somewhere in the corner. That will mislead Congress. And even if Congress may have adopted an agenda, this Congress has powers to take decision on certain matters. We have put a motion, Comrade President. If, therefore, there are two motions on the House, do the honorable thing to save Congress.
South African Democratic Teachers Union.
Re a leboga modulasetulo. Re kgopela go fao in particular, we know that they are supported. That when we appeal that in the interest of time, there are matters that we cannot be able to defer to the CEC. The issue of appeals, comrades, is very important. That they must be concluded in this Congress. If we don't do that, we run the risk of an albatross around our necks beyond the coming 3 years. The people that have appealed in the special Congress without success, they were reminded that it's Congress that can deal with that. And that matter remains on the agenda. It's very important that Congress must prioritize the appeals, that they must be heard in this Congress, so that as we go back, even if they might have withdrawn in the media, the matter remains on the agenda. And therefore, re kgopela go fa gore ge re le kgopela on our bended knees, sabeng bo mphenya shilo hle. A re beng ba molomo wa lehlabula bana ba kgoši, re a le kgopela tswetswe.
Okay. Clothing and textile.
Thank you, President. And if I can have your protection.
Kuloma.
All right.
President,
this is okay, ek sal praat.
Thank you.
Comrade, I see a problem what I will clarify, okay? This is not to speak on the motions, there are now motions on the table. But I think for the sanity of ourselves, it is important that I clarify what has happened in the run-up to the position that was put to the table earlier. Earlier, I went around to all the affiliates, including FAO and including SACAO. I presented to them what our suggested way forward is. FAO president said to me, he has to reflect and he has to consult. We accepted that. The SACAU said to me they agree with the way forward. We then called a meeting. I went to the table. I asked the table to announce that there will be a meeting of the union leadership to decide the way forward. We waited. We waited. Then we proceeded with who was present. I went back to the comrades from FAO and SACAU, and I said to them, this is now prior to the meeting, that there are other affiliates who feel that the matter of the appeal should be entertained, and that that matter needs to be discussed, and hence the call for a meeting. Now, comrades, I'm not saying anything. I'm just putting the facts in the sequence of events objectively. We cannot help it if there are affiliates that don't attend meetings to decide on how we manage the time of Congress going forward.
Anywhere?
Thank you, Comrade First Deputy President. Our input on this matter, President, is going to be very short. We rise to move the suggestion that the 4 items of the agenda that was adopted on the first day of the Congress should be prioritized. Those items are appeals, finances, declaration, and elections. The reason why, President, we are prioritizing these items is because we do understand and accept as the National Union of Mine Workers that the Central Executive Committee of Cosatu is a constitutional structure of the organization that is mandated to deal with all organizational matters. Now, I'm speaking here both as a delegate of the National Union of Mine Workers and its president. The Central Executive Committee of the Federation cannot be reduced to a group of few individuals who are presidents and general secretaries. That is the structure of the organization that must be accorded a respect like this Congress. Maybe, President, if one wants to be sarcastic, why can't we prioritize all other issues and defer the announcement of the results of the elections to the next Central Executive Committee of the Congress, of the Federation? Why can't that be done? Why can't it be done, President? So we are trying, Comrade President, to explain the importance of these items that have been, identified to be prioritized in this Congress. We are moving along with those affiliates that are saying we should prioritize the 4 items. Thank you, Mongamen.
Thank you. Acting General Secretary.
Amandla, Comrade, we can't disagree at the end of the Congress and debate whether to proceed or not to proceed in a particular way. The time we have spent now in debating, and maybe correctly so, to put the facts on the table, but it has taken more time than the time to consider the resolution on the table. So I want to appeal, Comrade, that let's agree there are about 5 resolutions on the organizational. The one on SASPO got a constitutional implication on resolve, so we put it aside. The next resolution is the expulsion of the former General Secretary, which I think the comrade will agree that let's deal it when we deal with appeal from SATU. So we eliminate one. There is a resolution of strengthening Cosatu and unity and cohesion, which is submitted by Pope, Crew and SACTU. There's a resolution on gender, and all the other one on gender. They are almost, comrade, simple because they are referring to the discussion document that all the union participated on. Rather than spending time, comrade, and union are free to withdraw their resolutions if they feel so in terms of time. But it is not the first time, comrade, that when we run out of time, we defer issues. And we have never, have to vote whether to defer and not to defer, comrade. It's just something that really indicates ukuthi asivani. It can't be the outcome of this Congress ukuthi egcineni benezinto ezenza ukuthi singashayisani ngoba abanye babona ukuthi lokhu important. So I appeal to the comrades who got the different views that this allow as agreed earlier in terms of the earlier suggestion ukuthi sizodelisha nama resolution, not the report, and quickly move on it, comrade. 5 resolutions, they are not resolutions that are complicated. I think we may all have agreed on them and just move on, comrade. I know Guti, this can be taken a principle, Guti, no, ufuna uxolo at all cost. But we are running against time, comrade. That would be my appeal, comrade President. Even to the comrade that may have raised, let's just move on as quickly as we can.
Fau, can I invite you to back to the podium so that you also address this plea that we are making?
No, thank you, Comrade President. Firstly, we need to caution some of our comrades to be very careful. Comrade Andre Kriel is the General Secretary of the Clothing and Textile Workers Union. He's not the national office bearer of Cosatu. When Comrade Andre, in the best interest of trying to package an intervention and consult with various affiliates, he shouldn't expect that we'll necessarily agree with any lobbying effort. Now, the way he presents what he has in his intervention actually creates a problem. But we don't want to make it as if it's personal. It's a word of caution. Secondly, comrades, we should not blackmail each other. We shouldn't, because otherwise we're creating a problem. We should just be brutally honest and very frank in our submission like the teachers' union was trying to do. Because as soon as an aspersion is created, we would not give credence to such an aspersion. We would not do that. So comrades must be very careful. Thirdly, comrades, this is very important. The Congress is bigger than the CEC. We've noted since Monday that people would want to belittle the Congress and make it equal to the CEC. That cannot be right. That cannot be right. And comrades, again, we have to be careful. If we are making examples, as Comrade National Union of Mine Workers was trying to do, those examples should not feed into us hardening attitudes. Because elections were conducted, it is inevitably expected that the results will be announced in this Congress. Now, as soon as you want to suggest that by not agreeing to postponing organizational resolutions, we are being dubious, because we may not agree to the postponement of the announcement of the results, I think that thing creates a problem. Now, Comrade President, we adopted a program on the first day, and a program said until, I think it's 5 o'clock. FAO and some of the affiliates have actually, in their preparations to participate in this Congress, factored that into equation. Now, we cannot allow the Congress to basically be, I agree with Satao that this Congress can take a decision to review what was adopted earlier on as a program. And if that's what's supposed to be done, maybe we should. Now, comrades, we find it difficult to concede to the request made by the Democratic Teachers Union. And we believe we should proceed with the Congress business. We believe that the matter of unity and cohesion cannot be taken back to the CEC, which CEC was unable to adequately deal with that matter. If we can't do so, comrades, we rather agree in this Congress to convene a special national Congress to proceed with these matters that we're saying are too important to be left to the third highest decision-making body being called the CEC, the third lowest decision-making body. There's Congress, the Central Committee, the CEC. Now we say these important matters must be taken to the third lowest structure for further discussions, yet the same structure was unable to deal with these matters. Can we plead with our fellow comrades that let's continue, let's make an assessment as we continue, and let's see if the proposal that was made can be further entertained later on by the other comrades. Thank you.
Now, the debates are making my chairing difficult because I understand that now I have unions here. I will suspend them, not suspend their participation in the Congress, but not allow them to speak any further, the unions that I have noted in the list, so that we move to the next item, which is this gender. Yeah. Yeah, the next resolution was a resolution by SASBO, and there was a request for this to be deferred. Sasbo, can I hear you? Put down your boards, comrade.
President, thank you very much. In fact, as President, as Sasbo, in fact, we would like...
Can you hold, Comrade Sasbo? I see democratic teachers and Satau and communicate. There are many, the list is long, NUM, and this one, Sipau.
No, thanks, Comrade President. You would know that we were on 3.9. Satu had just presented a motion that was not discussed. And all you are saying is that let's continue and at a later stage reprioritize what we have, because those that we have requested on our bended knees that they must understand have not been able to understand. So we're requesting you to make a ruling first that this is the way Congress will run. So that once you have made a ruling, we proceed with an understanding that at a particular time when we realize that indeed we are pressed and we are not able to defer some of the issues, then we're able to come back to them and say, can we reprioritize them and proceed in that fashion?
Okay, understood. Satau?
President, we did not want to raise it in the different ways because there were two matters before you. The only way, President, you can proceed is either there is a decision on those matters or you have made a ruling. Can you then be able to tell this Congress what is your ruling in this matter before you can proceed? Because if you do so, we'll then be having no alternative but to call you in order.
My ruling, it is Yakuba. We move on. Now, I was busy with the Finance Union on the request made on their resolution. Can you go back to... Or 3.9 was not completed. All right. So I jumped it. Okay. Clothing and textile. Hold on, Sasbo. Clothing and textile, come back. Cosatu, I gave you the platform.
Thank you, Comrade President. Comrade President, we are so confused. Can you please explain to us?
Yeah, 3.9. 3.9 is you, teacher. You have motivated there. Can I get the engagement by the Congress on that? Lemosa, come.
President, thank you very much.
We rise to second the adoption of the resolution as proposed by Comrade Noma Rashia Kaluza of SATU. That indeed 2015 is the last year wherein the plan that we adopted in 2003 expires. It therefore needs to be revamped and be renewed for a Cosatu that intervenes in a coherent manner. We also agree that there must be a full report that talks to the lessons from the 2015 plan. We must know as Cosatu why we failed to achieve 4 million members in 2010. We must know as Cosatu why we did not achieve all the things that we were supposed to achieve, but also we must be able to appreciate those that we were able to achieve. We therefore rise to agree with SATU and persuade other affiliates to agree with SATU that the suggested proposal be adopted by Congress. Thank you very much, President.
Sasbo.
Thank you, President. SASBO would like to support the resolution sponsored by USATU. We also believe that the plan has lapsed for 2015, so it is really an opportunity now for us to come up with a new plan. And President, we'd like to further suggest that with the new plan, we have to put terms. We don't have to look at a plan as a plan that can be visited right after the year that has been put into place. So we therefore suggest and add a SASBO that we adopt the smart concept way of doing business. As far as the new plan is concerned, we have to stagger it. We have to have into a final short-term planning that will make us to revisit whatever strategy that we have put into place, so as for us to be able to achieve the goal that we will set for ourselves as far as this resolution is concerned. So I will therefore also request USATU to explain to us, or maybe to put a time frame, because if you look at this resolution, which was taken around 2003, the time frame that was put there, it was 2015, and it was further suggested that we have to look at increasing our membership by almost 10% every year. So maybe let's also look at staggering that and say to ourselves, which year do we really think that we'll be having this kind of a membership that they were thinking of? Thank you very much, President.
Is it not proper, Sadu, that you make your own contribution in terms of the time frame instead of asking them to, or leave it to the CEC for that matter? Is this resolution is carried? If you agree, clap hands. Wow.
Yes, I am. No, President, we are not rejecting or against, and we want just to have a rider on the same, as much as we agree with SADU. We believe as far that before drafting that plan, this should be preceded by the thorough assessment, as other comrades have said from affiliates, on the comprehensive basis on the 2015 plan failures and achievements.
and other resolutions, standing resolutions that why didn't we achieve? We think that should be preceded first than to come with another plan without considering what were the hiccups on the previous plan of 2015 plan. And we believe as far that we should track our life of Cosatu 30 years ago as we plan moving from these 30 years to another 30 years. As when we come with a draft, we are aware in terms of where are we going after 30 years in the life of Cosatu. Thank you, President.
Thank you. Teachers, are you comfortable with that? Teachers?
President, we are massaged by the contributions of other affiliates, mainly because all of them are agreeing with what we said. We said we must do thorough assessment and evaluation of our 2015, and we did make some examples of where we think we did not make a progress as we would have expected. So we're comfortable. As to the issue of the time frame or the age of the new plan that we must develop, we think that we must leave that to the Central Executive Committee as our respected constitutional structure. We submit and we agree. Thank you.
Thank you, teachers. Therefore, the resolution is now adopted. Clap hands. Thank you very much. Now 3.10. There was a request put to you, Sasbo. I want you to respond to that request in terms of this resolution.
President, thank you very much. SASBO, as a progressive union, we would like to adopt the recommendation by the acting General Secretary, but at the same time, President will also like to withdraw this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sadu. Now we move on. We are on 3.12. The sponsors of that resolution is teachers and Pope crew. Pope crew? I have a guess, sir. Because teacher lagafunu paka. Pope crew?
Hey, Natasha, I can hear you. Okay, it has to change because now I have the guest here. So you just throw over to me, heated debate happening right here just a few minutes ago around the constitutionality, around the constitution of the Federation, as well as deferring some of the matters. Sure. Sharp.